أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم آية number 43 عفى الله عنك لما أذنت لهم حتى يتبين لك الذين صدقوا وتعلم الكاذبين. May Allah pardon you, O Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why did you give them permission to remain behind? You should not have, until it was evident to you who were truthful and you knew who were the liars. We see that when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam announced that everyone had to go to the Battle of Tabuk, there were some people who came to the Prophet ﷺ seeking permission to stay behind. Some, they offered genuine reasons, and others, they made up false excuses. So, when he gave permission to the people to remain behind, amongst them were hypocrites who were given the permission to remain behind, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the Prophet ﷺ, Afa Allahu anka, may Allah pardon you. Afa is from the root letters Ain, Fa, Waw, and Afu is pardon. Literally, it is to wipe out. What does it mean? To wipe out. It is said, عَفَتِ الرِّيحُ الدَّارِ, that the rih, the wind, it erased the traces of the house. Just imagine a mud house that has fallen down. Perhaps it rained. And then the wind blows fiercely. So eventually what's going to happen? The traces of the house even, if it's a mud house, they're going to be wiped off. You won't be able to tell, okay, this was the room, this was a wall. No, you won't be able to tell. So afa is to wipe off. And from this afu is to forgive someone for the mistake that they have made and not call them to account for it. Not hold them accountable for the wrong that they have done. So afa Allahu anka, this is an expression which means may Allah pardon you. May Allah forgive you. May Allah forgive you. And by saying this, in a figurative way, what is being said is that when the Prophet ﷺ allowed them to stay behind, it was a mistake on his part. It was a mistake on his part. He should not have allowed them to remain behind. But this is being said in a very subtle way. This is being said in a very subtle way. And Imam al-Razi, he said that this is a profound expression of the ta'zeem and tawqeer of the Prophet ﷺ, that how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a way shows His exalted status and shows respect to the Prophet ﷺ status, that it's not that he's being reprimanded outright. But what is being said? Afa Allahu anka, may Allah pardon you. May Allah protect you. May Allah set your affairs right and bring honor and glory to you. Lima adinta lahum, why did you give permission to them? Meaning you should not have allowed them to stay behind at home. حتى until يتبين لك الذين صدقوا, until those people who are truthful became clear to you, became known to you. Meaning you should not have given them permission until the truth of the truthful would have become evident to you. Meaning those people who have a genuine reason, and because of that genuine reason they're unable to go forth. Until you knew that this person really has a genuine reason, then you would have given him permission. Do you understand? Just because somebody is saying, I'm too busy, or I am very busy, and I have this work to do and that work to do, you shouldn't have just accepted his excuse. You should have known who is really speaking the truth, who is offering, who is presenting a genuine reason for staying behind. وَتَعْلَمَ الْكَاذِبِينَ, and you would know the liars. So you should not have given permission immediately. So what do we learn from this ayah? That first of all, on our part, when some work needs to be done, when we are given an important task, an important duty, we should not present excuses to get out of it. Whether it is a matter of salah, or it is the matter of some work that has been imposed in an institute, any kind of work, we should not present excuses to remain behind from it. Rather, we should go and do what is required from us. On the other hand, when people present excuses, when people present, reasons for not doing the work, the leader should not just accept their excuses as they are. Rather, he should ask for some evidence. He should investigate the matter a little bit. Because if everyone is given permission one after the other, then what's going to happen? What's going to happen? the work is going to get affected. Like for example, if a person is working somewhere in a company, in an organization, and he says, "Oh, I'm very busy, my grandmother passed away." So is he going to be, let go every time? Sometimes people make excuses. So many times my grandmother passed away, that they killed their grandmother like many times. And it's a false excuse. Literally, it's a false excuse. So, don't just accept what people are saying. Investigate the matter. When it's an important situation, you don't just accept everybody's excuses. You investigate. And then you allow for whosoever needs that permission. لا يستأذنك الذين يؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر. Those people who believe in Allah and the last day, لا يستأذنك. They will not seek your permission. يستأذن is from the root letters Hamza, Dal, Noon. Idhn. What does idhn mean? Permission. And istidhan is to seek permission. To ask for permission. So those who believe in Allah and the last day, they would never ask your permission to remain behind. أن يجاهدوا, that they should remain behind from jihad, بأموالهم وأنفسهم, with their wealth and their selves. Rather, what would they do? They would go out in the way of Allah with their wealth as well as their lives. وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ بِالْمُتَّقِينَ, and Allah is knowing of those who have taqwa. Those who out of fear of Allah go forth in every situation. Those who never ask for permission to remain behind. They never ask for days off. They don't present excuses. They do not count down to the holidays, to the weekends, to the breaks. Why? Because their aim, their goal, their focus is the work of the deen. And they enjoy it so much that even one day away from it is very difficult for them. When we were going to have the winter break, I saw on the board 2 days left, 1 day left, and I was amazed. I was amazed that people are happy that they'll be away from studying the Quran for a week and 1 day left only for that time. For a person who enjoys the Quran, for a person who is attached to the deen, he does not like to stay away from it for even a day, for even a moment. That time is difficult for him. لا يستأذنك. They will never take your permission. They will never want to take off. They will never ask for a leave. Those who truly believe in Allah and the last day. Instead, they will strive, they will struggle, they will put their money, they will put in their time, they will put in their effort to strive in the way of Allah. And everybody claims to have taqwa. Allah knows who has taqwa. Allah knows who has true taqwa. Who, because of the fear of Allah, goes forth in every situation, in every opportunity. They take advantage of it. When it comes to critical situations, when it comes to obligations, we should not remain behind. Nor should we look for rukhsa. That there should be, an easy way out for us, an easy option for us. Rather, we should take advantage of it and avail that opportunity. Just think of it. If your own child is ill, if your child is sick, and you don't have health coverage, what will you spend? What if you have to spend all the money that you have? Will you spend it? What if you have to sell your jewelry? What if you have to sell your house? Will you? Yes. What if your daughter is getting married? What if your son is getting married? What will you spend? Just your extra money that you have? No. People will spend money on the dress of the bride, on the gift that is to be given to her, on the gift that is to be given to her husband, on the gifts that have to be given to their families, on the dinner that is to be served to everybody. They will spend every penny willingly, happily. But when it comes to the deen, we have a list of reasons, a list of excuses. Then that means our children, our occasions, our festivals, our weddings, they're more important to us than the deen of Allah. That is the reality. And we don't admit that reality. But rather it shows from our actions. When it comes to working for the deen, serving the deen, we have many excuses. Many excuses. But when it comes to other things that we like, that we enjoy, then we don't have any excuses at all. If we want to go buy a car that we really like, we'll spend the money. If we want to buy a jacket that we really like, even if it's expensive, even if it's out of your budget, out of your limit, if you really like it, you're going to get it. Then you're not going to think, oh, I should be spending elsewhere as well. When it comes to buying shoes, when it comes to buying bags, we spend willingly, without a question. We will spend hours at the mall looking for that right bag, looking for those right shoes. Hours we will spend. We will go at one mall, we will go to another mall, we will go to one store, another store. We will shop online, we will shop in store to get that right thing we're looking for. But when it comes to the deen, then we have so many excuses. What's the problem? Dunya is more important to us and akhirah is not more important to us. Those who truly believe in Allah in the last day, they never want to stay behind. They avail every opportunity. We see that when the Prophet ﷺ announced that we have to go to the book, there were so many Sahaba who came forward and they spent whatever they had for that expedition. Amongst them is famous who? Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. What did he bring forth? Everything that he had. Umar radiallahu anhu, what did he bring forth? Half of his entire wealth. Half. Similarly, Uthman radiallahu anhu, he provided 200 saddle camels. And these camels were actually on their way to Asham. They were basically prepared for a business trip. Then Uthman radiallahu anhu, he gave all of them. He presented them immediately. And all of these camels, they were loaded with 200 ounces of gold. Just imagine, if you think about giving even 1 ounce of gold, 1 set of jewelry, 1 bangle, 1 ring, it's a big deal. How much did he give? 200 ounces of gold. And then he went and fetched 1,000 dinar. 1,000 dinar. We think if we give $1,000, wow. 1,000 dinar. We can spend $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 on our cars, on our jewelry, on 1 ring. But when it comes to serving the deen, spending for the deen, sometimes we have many excuses. But true believers, they don't have any excuses. They just need an opportunity. Where can I spend? And immediately they go and spend. Uthman radiallahu anhu, he brought so much wealth that the Prophet ﷺ, especially when he brought those 1,000 dinar and he put them in the lap of the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ began turning them over and he said, from this day on, nothing will harm Uthman, regardless of what he does. Nothing will harm him because of what he has offered in the way of Allah today. Nothing will harm him. Similarly, we learned that Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, he paid 200 silver ounces. 200 silver ounces. So many companions, they brought forth everything they had. You might think, I don't have this much money. There were some companions as well who spent their entire days and nights working. And if they got only a handful of dates, they brought that to the Prophet ﷺ. This is my contribution. This is my contribution. We have to see, if the deen is more important to us, we will contribute whatever that we can. When people want to build a house, when they want to own a house, they will put in every paycheck of theirs. They will take out only a little bit for their food. Women, they will give away their jewelry. But they want a house that is on their name. They will put in their effort, they will put in their time. Children are working, parents are working. They're past the age of retirement, but they're still working. Why? Because the target is the house. If our target is the house of Jannah, then when can we relax? When can we say, I have given enough, I have done much? إِنَّمَا يَسْتَأْذِنُكَ الَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. Only those would ask permission of you to remain behind. Who? Those who do not believe in Allah in the last day. Those who don't believe in Allah in the last day. They're the ones who want to stay behind. They're the ones who will come up to you asking permission to stay behind. Please leave us. Please don't take us. Give me permission to stay behind. What did we learn about the munafiqun? وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولُ آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَبِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ. They're not really believers. They're the ones who will come and ask you for permission. وَارْتَابَتْ قُلُوبُهُمْ. And their hearts entertain doubts. Their hearts have doubt about what? About the deen. فَهُمْ فِي رَيْبِهِمْ. So they, in their doubt, يَتَرَدَّدُونَ. They waver. يَتَرَدَّدُونَ is from the word تَرَدُّد. Taraddud is from ra, dal, dal, radd. What does radd mean? To send something back. Radda. Ridda. Ridda is from the same root, to turn something back, to send something back. So taraddud is to keep sending back and forth. To coming and going. Being frequent. To waver. So in their doubt, they're constantly wavering. At one point, they have a very high iman. They want to serve the deen. At another point, they're like, I don't think I should be wasting my time over here. Yataraddadun. Constantly going back and forth. They're not stable in the deen. They're not committed. At one time they come and they say, I will do this and this and this. The next day when they're supposed to come, they're not here. When you call them, why aren't you here? Oh, I changed my mind. Then after 2 weeks, I think I should go back again. They go back again. And again they say, I changed my mind. They keep changing their mind. They don't have stability. They don't have istiqrar. Yataraddadun. They're constantly wavering. And this is a characteristic of a munafiq, as described in this ayah. وَارْتَابَتْ قُلُوبُهُمْ فَهُمْ فِي رَيْبِهِمْ يَتَرَدَّدُونَ. Now what was this doubt that the hypocrites had? The hypocrites were still not firm in their iman. They had become Muslim only seeing the advantage, the benefits of being a Muslim. And they were still doubtful about the stability and success of Islam, despite the fact that Makkah had been conquered. They still wanted to see, okay, what happens? Let's see what happens. So in their doubt, they were constantly wavering. And it is such people who stay behind from critical situations. They stay behind when there is a need for them to go forth. We learn in Surah Al-Hujurat, ayah number 15, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ ثُمَّ لَمْ يَرْتَابُوا. That the believers are only those who have believed in Allah and the Messenger, and then they don't have any doubt about it. They don't have any doubt in their iman. They're confident, they're firm, they're 100% sure. وَجَاهَدُوا بِأَمْوَالِهِمْ وَأَنفُسِهِمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. And they also strive with their properties and their lives in the cause of Allah. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الصَّادِقُونَ. Such people are truthful in their claim of being a believer. Because everybody claims. But who is really truthful? The one who shows with his actions. And what are those actions? It's jihad in the way of Allah with the wealth as well as with the self. وَلَوْ أَرَادُوا الْخُرُوجَ. And if they had intended to go forth. Now, the ayat are talking about who? The munafiqun. If they had really intended to go forth, al-khuruj is to go out with you for the battle of Tabuk, لَأَعَدُّوا لَهُ عُدَّةً. Surely they would have prepared for it some preparation. أَعَدُّوا is from the root letters, Ain, Dal, Dal. إِعْدَاد. It means to prepare for something. Adad, number. When you have prepared something fully, that you can count the stuff that you have prepared. And udda is preparation that a person makes and keeps with him for what he intends to do in the future. Udda is what a person has prepared, what he has kept ready for what he intends to do in the future. Like for example, if a woman, she's expecting and she's about to deliver, in the last few weeks, what is she going to do? She's going to prepare her hospital bag. Isn't it so? And as soon as she needs to go to the hospital, she just needs to pick it up and leave. Udda, it's prepared. Similarly, if you're traveling, then you're going to start packing your bag. It's not that 2 hours before the flight, or a few hours before the flight, you wonder, okay, which bag am I taking and what stuff I'm taking? No. If you're going somewhere, you prepare for it from before. Similarly, if these people were sincere in going out with the Prophet ﷺ, they would have prepared something, some preparation, some luggage, like food or weapons, provision for the journey, etc. وَلَكِنْ but, كَرِهَ اللَّهُ. Allah disliked إِنْبِعَاثَهُمْ, their rising. Allah disliked their rising, their going forth with you. Inbi'ath is from the root letters, Ba'ain Sa, Ba'atha. What does Ba'atha mean? To dispatch. So inbi'ath, to rise, to be dispatched, to go forth. Allah did not want them to go forth with you. So over here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that وَلَكِنْ كَرِهَ اللَّهُمْ بِعَاثَهُمْ. Allah disliked their coming forth with you. So when a person is not given the ability, when a person is not given the tawfiq to go forth in the way of Allah, to avail the opportunity that comes his way, then what does it mean? Allah did not give him tawfiq. Allah does not want him to go forth. وَلَكِنْ كَرِهَ اللَّهُمْ بِعَاثَهُمْ. And because Allah disliked their going forth, فَثَبَّطَهُمْ. So He prevented them. He stopped them from going forth with you. He didn't even give them the ability to prepare for the journey. ثَبَّطَ is from the root letters ثَبَّطَ. ثَبَّطَ. And ثَبَّطَ is to delay in performing a task. It means to delay in performing a task, to abstain from doing it. It is said, ثَبَّطَهُ الْمَرَض, that illness prevented him. What does it mean? Illness prevented him. It did not allow him to go forth. It did not allow him to do what he wanted to do. It's like, for example, a person is invited somewhere for a dinner, but what happens? He is unable to go. ثَبَّطَهُ الْمَرَض. Illness, disease prevented him from going forth. So فَثَبَّطَهُمْ, Allah prevented them. وَقِيلَ, and it was said, اُقْعُدُوا مَعَ الْقَاعِدِينَ, sit with those who sit. Al-Qa'idin is a plural of Qa'id. From the root letters Qaf, Ain, Dal. Qa'ada is to sit. And Qa'id is one who sits. One who remains seated. So sit with those who remain seated. What does it mean? Stay behind. With those who stay behind. Who are those who stay behind from battle? The sick, the old, the disabled, the children, the women. Similarly, the munafiqun. So it was said to them, sit with those who sit behind. Who said this to them? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. Or, وَقِيلَ قُعُدُوا مَعَ الْقَاعِدِينَ, it could also be a waswasa of shaitan. قِيلَ قُعُدُوا مَعَ الْقَاعِدِينَ, to stay at home with those who remain at home. See, if they can stay at home, you can also stay at home. So what do we learn from this ayah? That when a person has to go somewhere, and when he's serious about it, he does something. He prepares for that journey. He prepares in advance. Person will look at his ticket, he will look at his bags, he will do many things to prepare for the journey. But when a person does not do anything at all, what does it show? He does not even want to go. And sometimes it is because Allah is not giving him the tawfiq. Allah is not giving him the ability. That despite the fact that he has the chance to go, he doesn't have the time, he doesn't have the confidence, he doesn't have the decision power to decide that, okay, I have to go, I have to prepare for this trip. And when a person does not want to go out himself, then Allah also does not give him the tawfiq. Allah does not force that person. You know, the opportunity comes your way. You say, no, I cannot do it. If you say no, then Allah will not give you the opportunity. So what's the important lesson in this for us? If something comes our way, an opportunity is provided to us, instead of saying no right away, what should we do? We should accept it. And if we think it's too difficult, it's impossible for us to do it, ask Allah to help you. Ask Allah to aid you. Because without Him, you cannot do anything anyway. You cannot do anything. Instead of refusing outright, accept it. And pray to Allah. Allah will give you tawfiq. Allah will give you ability. لَوْ خَرَجُوا فِيكُمْ, if they had gone forth with you, amongst you, in you, if the munafiqun, hypothetically, if they even went out with you, then what would they do? They would not have increased you except in confusion. Khabal is from the root letters Kha, Ba, Lam. And we have done this word earlier as well. Khabal is basically used for mischief, confusion. Such disorder that affects a living being in his body or mind. So for example, confusion. Confusion is what? Khabal. How? that it's disorder that affects people in their minds. When people are double-minded, when people are confused, when people are indecisive, it's impossible for them to do anything. It takes them so long to do anything. Isn't it? Similarly, when there is disunity amongst people, isn't that disorder? Because the efforts will be divided. People will be divided. So if these munafiqun had gone forth with you, they would have only increased you in khabal, in fasad, in disorder. And what khabal is referring to in the context? Division. Confusion amongst the people. That just imagine the people are going, and all of a sudden these hypocrites, they gather up and they say, oh my God, we're going to face the Romans. We don't know how to fight them. We're going to get defeated. What kind of feelings is this going to create amongst the people? Feelings of fear. Feelings of confusion. Should we go? Should we not go? Should we go back or should we continue to go? This would create a lot of disorder amongst the people. You know, sometimes it happens that, let's say your siblings, they don't want to go along with the rest of the family for a particular trip. Children don't want to go, or even one person doesn't want to go. Throughout the journey, what do? They're miserable, and they make everybody else miserable. Right? See, we shouldn't have gone. Or they're taking too long to leave the house, to leave the hotel, to come out of the car. They're busy in their own world, busy with their phone, busy with their iPod. And they don't talk, they don't participate in anything. And it's such a burden to go with such people. It's such a burden. They ruin the entire trip. So these people didn't want to go in the first place. And if they had gone forth with you, they would have only added trouble. مَا زَادُوكُمْ إِلَّا خَبَالًا وَلَا أَوْضَعُوا خِلَالَكُمْ. And surely they would have hurried between you all. أَوْضَعُوا is from the root letters Waw, Dad, Ain. Wada'a. What does wada'a mean? فَلَمَّا وَضَعَتْ. To put down. To put down. To place something. And إِضَاعْ. أَوْضَعَ. يُوضِعُ. إِضَاعْ. إِضَاعْ is to make one's animal or mount run fast. It is to make the animal run fast. And also haphazardly. In order to create a stampede. So just imagine, there's people, and there's one person who has his horse, and all of a sudden, he makes his horse run fast. And he's screaming, or the horse is making noise. And he's running here and there, everywhere. What is that going to create? Disorder amongst the people. So, awda, this is an expression of quick movement and activity in doing something. So, وَلَا أَوْضَعُوا, they would have been very active in خِلَالَكُمْ, amongst you, between you all. They would have been very active between you all, يَبْغُونَكُمْ, seeking for you al-fitna, the fitna. And fitna over here refers to division or doubt in deen. Khilal is from the root letters Kha Lam Lam. And khilal is the space that is between two things. The distance that is between two things. So they would have hurried between you to and fro, going from one person to the other, seeking fitna, spreading rumors, spreading negativity, instilling the fear of the enemy, creating doubts about the Prophet ﷺ, doubts about the deen. So we see, if they had gone with you, they would have only increased in khabal, and they would have rushed amongst you all, creating a lot of fitna. وَفِيكُمْ, and among you, meaning among you believers, are who? سَمَّاعُونَ لَهُمْ, ones who listen attentively to them. سَمَّاعُون is a plural of سَمَّاع, and we have done this word earlier. What does سَمَّاع mean? One who listens attentively, eagerly, readily, acceptingly. So basically one who listens with a lot of attention, and he accepts everything that he listens. So amongst you, there are still some people who listen to these hypocrites and they accept whatever these hypocrites are saying. They get affected and fooled by the speech of the munafiqun. You understand? There are still some people who get affected by their speech, who get fooled by their speech. And if these munafiqeen are in you, imagine the chaos that would be created in the Muslim army. They're going for a serious mission. And imagine what kind of chaos these munafiqun would have created. Secondly, the word samma' is also used for who? The word samma' is also used for a spy. So amongst you are still spies for them, those who listen for their sake. Those who listen to you and tell them about what you've been doing, about your activities. Wallahu alimun bil-zalimin, and Allah is knowing of the zalimin. There were two main leaders of the hypocrites. One was, who? Abdullah ibn Ubay. And another was Al-Jadd ibn Qais. Al-Jadd ibn Qais. He was the leader of the tribe of Banu Salama. He was the leader of the tribe of who? Banu Salama. So when these leaders, when they would say something, people would listen to them. Do you understand? They would listen to them. But if these people went in the army, if they participated in the battle, just imagine the chaos they would create. Just imagine the division that would be created in the Muslim army. Some people would be listening to the Prophet ﷺ, and other people would be listening to these people. We learned that in the battle of Uhud, when the Muslims went out for the battle, what happened over there? What happened at the battle of Uhud? Abdullah ibn Ubay also went. 300 people listened to him, left the Prophet and went back. 300. And when they did that, there were some Muslims who also wished to go along with them. Remember? إِذْ هَمَّ الطَّائِفَتَانِ مِنْكُمْ أَن تَفْشَلَا وَاللَّهُ وَلِيُّهُمَا. So, if these hypocrites accompanied the Muslims, there would be a lot of problem. لَقَدِ ابْتَغَوُا الْفِتْنَةَ مِنْ قَبْلُ. They had already desired fitna before. وَقَلَّبُوا لَكَ الْأُمُورِ. And had upset matters for you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding the Muslims of what had happened in the past. That these munafiqun, when they came with you for the journey, they sought fitna. What does fitna refer to? Division. So division is what? It is a fitna or a mercy? It's fitna. It's not a mercy. So they sought division amongst you before as well. When? At Uhud. And not just at Uhud. At every occasion. At every occasion. They created division amongst the Muslims. And fitna does not just refer to division, but it also refers to difficulty in the affairs of the Muslims. Like for example, when the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina, what happened? The hypocrites, they created a lot of problems. Initially as well, and after that as well, they created many problems. وَقَلَّبُوا لَكَ الْأُمُورِ. And they turned about the matters for you. قَلَّبُوا, some huruf letters, qaf, lam, ba. What does qalb mean? Heart. And qallaba yuqallibu is to turn something, to upturn, to overturn. And the heart is also called qalb. Why? Because it keeps turning about. The state of the heart keeps changing. So قَلَّبُوا لَكَ الْأُمُورِ. They turned about the matters for you. Your affairs, they turned them about. In other words, the plans that you had made, they messed them all up. They created so many problems that they affected the Muslims negatively. Like for example, at the Battle of Uhud, 300 people left. So that obviously did not boost the morale, the confidence of the rest of the people. So قَلَبُوا لَكَ الْأُمُورِ. They affected your plans. Similarly, at the Battle of Ahzab, what happened? These munafiqeen constantly spreading negativity. Constantly talking negatively about the Prophet ﷺ, about the future of Islam, about the Muslims. So قَلَّبُوا لَكَ الْأُمُورِ. They upturned all the matters for you. They ruined your plans. They messed up your planning. And qallaba is also used for scrutinizing a matter. Like for example, you're looking at something and you want to know about it. What do? You turn it about. You turn it upside down, inside out, to really get to know about it. So these munafiqun also, they didn't accept Islam immediately. What did they do? They waited. They waited for so many things to happen. They scrutinized the affairs of the Muslims. And they thought long and hard how to plot against the Prophet ﷺ and invalidate the religion that he had brought. حَتَّى جَاءَ الْحَقُّ. Until the truth came. وَظَهَرَ أَمْرُ اللَّهِ. And the command of Allah, the matter of Allah, it became apparent. وَهُمْ كَارِهُونَ. And they were disliking. So, Constantly, since the Prophet ﷺ migrated to Medina, the hypocrites were planning against him. The hypocrites were planning against the Muslims, to harm the Muslims, to harm the cause of Islam. But eventually, they were defeated. And Islam became victorious. So many occasions, they joined with the Yahud. They joined with the Mushrikeen of Makkah. They said negative things about the Prophet ﷺ. So at this point, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, it's good these people are not going. Because you're going for a very serious expedition. And if they had gone out, they would have created a lot of problems. وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَقُولُ أْذَنْ لِي. And among them is one who says, give me permission. Give me permission to stay behind and not participate in jihad, not go to Tabuk, not go to Rome. وَلَا تَفْتَنِّي. And don't put me into fitna. Meaning, don't force me to go. Because if you force me to go, I will fall into fitna. I will fall into fitna. What fitna is this? What is this referring to? We learned that Al-Jadd ibn Qais, who was he? One of the hypocrites, leaders of the hypocrites. The Prophet ﷺ said to him that, would you like to fight the Romans? I mean, you're coming, right? He said, O Allah's Messenger, give me permission to remain behind. And do not cause fitna for me. By Allah, my people know that there is not a man who is more fond of women than I. I fear that if I see the women of the white people, of the Romans, I would not be patient. This is the excuse that he made up. A lame excuse. A very lowly excuse. A false excuse. And he's making it seem so important that, look, if you force me to go, I will fall into fitna. So please don't make me go, otherwise I will fall into fitna. So he says, وَمِنْهُمْ. And among them is who? Is there who says, إِذَلِّي, give me permission, وَلَا تَفْتِنِّي. And don't put me into fitna. This fitna can also refer to fitna of sin. That if you force me to come, and I don't come, then I will be disobeying you. So in other words, I have made up my mind, I'm not coming. So don't tell me to come. Just like shaitan. Bima aghwaytani. You commanded me, I didn't obey you, it's not my fault, it's your fault. So la taftinni. Don't put me into fitna by commanding me, because I'm not going to come anyway. Ala fil fitnati saqatu. Unquestionably, in fitna they have already fallen. This is fitna. This is trial that they're in. What fitna is this? The fitna of takhalluf, of remaining behind. Fitna is in what they're in right now. Leaving that which is an obligation and coming up with false excuses. وَإِنَّ جَهَنَّمَ لَمُحِيطَةٌ بِالْكَافِرِينَ. And indeed, Jahannam is one that encompasses the disbelievers. They won't find any escape from it for themselves. So we see that sometimes when people want to stay away from something, they present excuses which are completely false, completely lame. And when a person does that, he's only humiliating himself. The Prophet ﷺ, when he heard that excuse of his, he turned away from him and he said, قَدْ أَذَنْتُ لَكَ. I gave you permission. You can just stay at home. Just fine, stay here. The Prophet ﷺ turned away from him. He didn't want to see him anymore. Because if somebody has the confidence to lie and say something so cheap, in a way, before the Messenger of Allah, then he doesn't even deserve to be looked at. إِن تُصِبْكَ حَسَنَةٌ. If some good reaches you, meaning if you go somewhere, you're victorious, you gain some worldly success, what happens to the hypocrites? تَسُؤْهُمْ. It makes them sad. Because they're not your true friends. In fact, they're your enemies. Why are they sad? Why do they become grieved? Because they're jealous of you. They're insincere. And they're also sad because they didn't go with you. Do you understand? They didn't go with you. On the other hand, وَإِن تُصِبْكَ مُصِيبَةٌ. If a misfortune reaches you, يَقُولُ. They say, قَدْ أَخَذْنَا أَمْرَنَا مِنْ قَبْلُ. If you suffer from some harm, from some adversity, if you suffer some loss, they say, we took control of our matter from before. We took our precaution. See, we're so intelligent, we're so smart. We saw this coming. We didn't go with them. We saved ourselves. قَدْ أَخَذْنَا أَمْرَنَا مِنْ قَبْلُ. وَيَتَوَلَّوْا. And they turn away. وَهُمْ فَرِحُونَ. And they're very happy. So when good comes to the Muslims, they are hurt. And when harm comes to them, they rejoice. The problem with the munafiqun is that they accept the deen. They're with the deen only to get worldly gain. If they get the worldly gain, they're happy. If they don't get it, then what happens? They become very upset. And they serve the deen, they're with the deen, only to appear as good before people. Because if they don't accept it, if they don't serve the deen, then it's going to give a very bad impression to the people. Do you understand? Apparently the munafiq is serving the deen. Apparently he is spending on the deen. Why is he doing that? To leave a good impression on people. So the munafiqun, they wanted this whole matter of Islam to be over. When is it going to come to an end so that we can go back to our normal lives? We can enjoy our lives as we used to before. Everything can be fine. Since Islam has come, life has become so difficult for us. If we don't participate, we look bad. We have to participate so that we can look good. That, for example, if one person starts the work of deen, other people start supporting him, and if others don't, they will appear as bad. So they do it only to look good. They can't wait for the entire matter to be over so that things can get back to normal. This was the case of the hypocrites. Qul, say to them, لَن يُصِيبَنَا إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا. Nothing will reach us except what Allah has already decreed for us. If some harm reaches us, Allah has already decreed it for us. هُوَ مَوْلَانَا. He is our Mawla. وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. And upon Allah should the believers trust. This is the belief, this is the aqeedah of a true believer. That he is certain that everything that happens in his life comes by the permission of who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Arabic it is said, مَنْ عَلِمَ سِرَّ اللَّهِ فِي الْقَدْرِ هَانَتْ عَلَيْهِ الْمَصَائِرِ. The one who knows the secrets of Allah concerning divine decree, his hardships will become easy for him. When a person knows that whatever difficulty has come to him is from Allah and there is some wisdom behind it, going through that difficulty will become very easy for him. It will not be burdensome. So say this to the hypocrites, that whatever Allah has decreed for us, that will happen. Qul, say to them, هَلْ تَرَبَّصُونَ بِنَا. Are you waiting for us except إِلَّا إِحْدَى الْحُسْنَيَيْنِ, except one of the two good things? Meaning, what are you waiting for? The believers are told to say this to the hypocrites. What are you waiting for? For some harm to befall us? But if you look at it, what is going to befall us? One of two good things. Ihda, one of, al-husnayayn, two good things. What are the two good things referring to? Either victory or martyrdom. It's a win-win situation. وَنَحْنُ نَتَرَبَّصُ بِكُمْ. And we are also waiting for you, أَن يُصِيبَكُمُ اللَّهُ بِعَذَابٍ مِّنْ عِنْدِهِ, that Allah will reach you with the punishment from Himself. You're waiting that we should suffer some harm. The fact is, whatever happens to us is good for us. But you, because of what you're doing, we're just waiting to see your end, to see what happens to you, how Allah punishes you. أَوْ بِأَيْدِينَا, or through our hands, that He permits us to fight against you. فَتَرَبَّصُوا, so keep waiting. إِنَّا مَعَكُمْ مُتَرَبِّصُونَ. Indeed, we are also waiting with you. Because the hypocrites, they were waiting for the end of Islam, the end of the mission of the Prophet ﷺ. And despite the fact that Makkah had been conquered, despite the fact that it had been so many years, they still were not taking a lesson. That this matter Allah has sent لِيُظْهِرَهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ, to make it dominant, not to make it defeated. Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu, he narrated that I heard Allah's Messenger saying, the example of a mujahid in Allah's cause, the example of who? Of a mujahid in Allah's cause, and Allah knows better who really strives in His cause, is like a person who fasts and prays continuously. Like a person who fasts and prays continuously. Allah guarantees that He will admit the mujahid in his cause into paradise if he is killed. If he dies, where is he going? To Jannah. Otherwise, He will return him to his home safely with rewards and war booty. These are the two good things that Allah has promised the one who goes out in the way of Allah. Do you understand? When a person goes out in the way of Allah, Allah has promised him good in every situation. If he's successful in what he went to achieve, that's good for him. If he's not, he will still be rewarded for his effort. Isn't it so? So how can a person stay back from serving the deen when it's a win-win situation? Anywhere else you go, anything else you do, there's always a risk of loss. Isn't it? There is always a risk of loss. You say, all that time we put in, all that money we put in, all that effort we put in, it's gone down the drain. But you can never say that for the service of the deen. Because it's not just your end result that is going to be rewarded, it's also your efforts. So never stay behind. Never stay behind. Because staying behind is depriving yourself. And if Allah is giving you, why should you deprive yourself? Let's listen to the recitation of these verses. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.